morning, everyone. I am Yvette Lee, Press and Publicity Officer, IWFCI India. And on the behalf of the organization, I welcome you all to the book launch of NEOVISION COVID-19 and the New Normal, a publication of IWFCI India. I take this opportunity to welcome our chief guest for today, Susheela Ravindranath, our IWFCI's International Chairperson, Diana Abruzzi, President of IWFCI India National Chapter, Dr. Daphne Pillay, all our authors who have contributed papers to this edition of NEOVISION from abroad and India, members of IWFCI from all around the world, friends, supporters, and our viewers watching today's program on Facebook or on YouTube. In India, we are facing grim and troubled times. The COVID-19 situation has turned into a full-blown crisis with many people dying and not enough resources to deal with this pandemic. I hope that all of you who have joined us today from India are safe and well. Let's all support each other and above all, be kind to ourselves and one another during these tough times. At the end of this pandemic, I am sure we will have a lot of learnings and a new way of life. So without further ado, let's start this event. I would now like to introduce Dr. Daphne Pillay, President of IWFCI India National Chapter. Dr. Daphne Pillay is an educationist and social entrepreneur. She is the chairperson of the management board of Mahatma Education Society and the co-founder of the Pillai Group of Institutions that runs 48 educational institutions spread over 6 campuses in Mumbai and Navi Mumbai. She has a doctorate in gender studies from the University of Mumbai, and she has been invited to various international forums in United States, Portugal, Turkey, and South Korea to speak on various issues and challenges faced by women in
Stable.
India. In headquarters in New York. In 1997, she founded the Suroptimist International of Bombay Chamber with its mission to enable, educate, and empower women. She has been a recipient of many awards, the most recent and prestigious one being the Associate Women Achiever of the Year Award, conferred upon her by Srimati Smriti Zubin Irani, Honorable Union Minister of Women and Child Development, India. I now hand over to Dr. Daphne Pillay and request her to present the welcome address. Over to you, Dr. Daphne Pillay.
Thank you, Yvette. Welcome to the virtual launch of NEOVISION, IWFCI India's very first publication with the theme of COVID-19 and a new normal. The book is a compilation of various articles written on the subject and is edited by Dr. Selena Joy. During the pandemic crisis, IWFCI India had a series of virtual fireside chats where speakers from across the globe were brought together to give their views on how to make progress around the virus in different areas of business. The crisis had brought about a dramatic shift in interest, and the world had to refocus itself to tackle the new circumstances created by the COVID-19 crisis. Several renowned international experts in various fields participated in these virtual fireside chats and shared their studies on the COVID crisis and the roadmap ahead. The speakers have been from across the world: India, Africa, China, Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, USA. Global experts in the field of pharma, education, medicine, manufacturing, artificial intelligence, finance, capital markets, aviation shared their strategies for recovery in the post-COVID world. It was a different world, and a lot of intellectual capital was generated during these discussions. The term "it was business as usual" had become a term of the past, as the world was faced with new uncertainties, had to find new solutions to problems, and had to create new interests. It was important for us to document these chat discussions in print form, and so the idea of NEOVISION was born, a publication which would be a written record of these discussions for the benefit of future generations. The topics covered in the articles are wide and varied, from the new challenges faced in medicine and the aviation industry to how music therapy can be used to find the bliss point in business recovery. The section on the response of global women's federations to the pandemic show how the countries of Singapore, South Korea, Egypt, France, and India found new opportunities in adversity, and how they used their networks around the world to strengthen business solidarity and international cooperation in order to explore new market spaces for women in business. Another interesting section on entrepreneurship and building resilience in business takes us to the technology world of artificial intelligence and exoskeletons, and how COVID-19 affected these businesses. The shift from the physical space to the digital space called for digital literacy, and articles on the work from home culture which emerged as a result of the pandemic, and the mental health challenges faced by people are a part of the contents of this very interesting book. The book is a realistic record of the experiences faced by the contributors and will be of great interest to entrepreneurs, women's organizations, students, and those from the world of academia and industry. It's a must read for all. And I'm very excited to call upon my mentor, Miss Diana Abruzzi, the International Chair of IWFCI, to address the audience. Diana is an extraordinary woman whose vision helped her establish the IWFCI, a chamber of commerce exclusively for women entrepreneurs. The IWFCI today has chapters in 16 countries of the world, which help women to network and grow their businesses globally. I now request Ms. Diana Abruzzi to address the viewers.
Thank you, Daphne. This book is truly an inspiration, led by the IWFCI India President, Daphne Pillay, and her very, very talented team, who captured the many insightful discussions that were held during their virtual fireside chats in 2020. Without a doubt, this pandemic has disrupted the routine life of everyone on a global scale, especially with the young. And now, with everyone more informed about this new reset taking place, not only with our finances and businesses, but also of our minds. Now, this mind change is worth understanding. It is something everyone grapples with, whether it's kicking a bad habit, coming up with new or original ideas, shifting a business focus, changing behaviors, changing company or culture, or just trying to change the world. Certainly, the ability to create or manage change is a key issue for every business, because if you can't get out in front of it and even lead it, you may not be long before you'll be at the back of the pack. The question is, of course, is how? The answer begins with recognizing that change at every level requires at least some dose of refreshing and resetting of the brain. The good news is The neurosciences now confirms that you can effectively and sustainably do just that, with a few proven steps that center on thinking, because when you change the way you think, you actually chemically change the connections in your brain. And this has been confirmed by so many I have recently spoken with who have felt this changing connection in their brains during the pandemic, where they are now looking ahead very differently. Seek new opportunities with a new perspective not seen before, as they in the past were so set in their old ways. Where the word entrepreneur has taken on a new meaning, where companies are changing midstream with innovative ideas being explored to find ways in which to do things differently and more effectively. But there is still an urgency and a misgiving where people are still uncertain what is the end shape of this reset will eventually look like. With this uncertainty, you will find the topics within this book to be a very astute assessment of these issues. We are all facing in the future where our authors share their thoughts on the way forward for the new normal. I truly recommend this book to everyone. Thank you, Daphne.
Thank you so much, Diana, for that very inspirational address. You are indeed a role model for us women, and I'm happy to say that IWFCI India has made tremendous strides under your leadership. We will now present you with a video clip of the activities of the IWFCI India chapter. You will see that the pandemic and subsequent lockdown did not halt our activities. Dr. Rene Francis, an active member of the IWFCI India chapter, created this video for our presentation today.
Thank you, Dr. Rene Francis, for this lovely video showcasing all the activities and the projects that IWFCI India National Chapter has undertaken since its inception. Now, it's my extreme honor and privilege to introduce to you our chief guest for today, Ms. Susheela Ravindranath. Ms. Susheela Ravindranath started her career as a journalist with Business India and was with them till the year 2000 when she was the Chief Bureau South. She went on to set up Hansa Zone, an entertainment portal promoted by Mr. R.K. Swamy BBDO, and then took over as editor of the New Indian Express Sunday paper. She was until recently the consulting editor with the Financial Express. She has done stories on many South Indian business groups which were publicity shy and had never been written about. Her book Surge, Tamil Nadu's Growth Story, was released in October 2016. I welcome Ms. Susheela Ravindranath and invite her to address our audience. Over to you, Ms. Ravindranath.
Thank you, Yvette. This is such an honor and privilege for me to be among you and to be part of the launch of the book NEOVISION. We are really living through very strange times. And women, as usual, in any of these strange times, take the brunt of the worst that happens. But women also survive. Women know how to get forward. There's no putting down of women at all. Just when we thought that, the pandemic was coming to an end and we were feeling happy, the second wave hit India like a tsunami. It's been raging in the country. Even as we are talking, one is going through a dark and gloomy mood because you never know which friend, which relation, or who's going to be hit next. But, organizations like yours keep the spirit up, the fireside chats, and what a wonderful idea to bring it all out as a book. NEOVISION, a compilation of the fireside chats, is going to be such a guide and help to women who are in business. In the Indian chapter has really been doing a great job conducting these fireside chats. Women entrepreneurs have shown enormous courage and survival instincts. They've really been, surprisingly, I belong to an award committee of home entrepreneurs. And sometimes when I see their profiles, it is so amazing. I think they need somebody like you to guide them further. However, business women need help. However good they are, however they are looking forward, their vision forward in these very difficult times, they really need help. The pandemic has affected over 70% women-owned businesses in India. Almost 50% of them, when this survey was conducted, were optimistic and said they will move forward. Then, as I said, then came the tsunami. Women, I hear from many people, why are you distinguishing women entrepreneurs from men entrepreneurs? But we have to do that. Women have to look after, just because they are in business, they also have to look after their home, look after their children, conduct the household, and do a million other things apart from running their business. It's a huge challenge. The website Your Story says that during the first 6 months of 2020, funding for women entrepreneurs fell 40% compared to the previous year. Just when things were looking up, now we've been hit by another thunder. India has 13.5 to 15.7 million women-owned businesses, but they are still fewer than 20% compared to the whole number of enterprises. Just when we were all thinking of talking about conducting discussion seminars on how to improve this figure, as I said, we've been hit with some unexpected crisis. The other thing women-owned enterprises have seen a massive decline in revenue because in the early months, the demand just fell. Here's where it's amazing how women have rebuilt themselves. They may not have gone back to the pre-pandemic levels, but they haven't given up. The editor, Selena Joy, has done a great job of putting together NEOVISION, which covers many areas. I love the new terms, she session and she revival. I'm really hoping NEOVISION will be part of the she revival. Sectors leading in new normal, as among the many chapters but which grabbed my attention, are medicine, aviation, and pharma industry. These can really, you read this, I'm sure those who listen to the chats, they can open many doors for women. Chapters on how to manage recovery, which is very important. The recovery is going to happen at some point. Here, women entrepreneurs have gone into another direction. But when the recovery happens, then they have to redirect themselves. So there's ample guidance for that kind of thing. And there are also people who are willing to guide and help them among your great members. And most important, there is a lot of importance shown to digital literacy. If one thing that's taught us during these grim and dark times, the most important is to move digital. But it's also amazing women who are in India, tier 1 and not tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 cities, how they have adapted to digital technology. They are promoting their products in Facebook, in Twitter, in Instagram. I mean, I don't think there was anyone, they've just learned it by themselves, taught themselves. But having done that, they need more guidance, how to do it more professionally, how to move forward, how to sell more products, and how to diversify, and what will be in demand after this dark period is over. Finally, as your chairperson, Diana Abruzzi says, we have to follow our instinct more than any other direction. Congratulations. And are we moving on to the launch of the book? The book is launched.
Thank you, Ms. Susheela. And with this, we have launched our book, NEOVISION, COVID-19 and the New Normal. It's a milestone for IWFCI India as we launch our first publication. I would now like to introduce to you Dr. Selena Joy, the editor of NEOVISION, COVID-19 and the New Normal. Dr. Selena Joy is currently engaged as a professor at Mahatma Education Society's Pillai Institute of Management Studies and Research. Prior to this, she has worked at various responsibility levels for one of the leading companies in the hospitality sector for 16 years. She is a chartered accountant and has a PhD from University of Mumbai. She is one of the directors of IWFCI India National Chapter and is also the coordinator of Pillai Center of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. I invite Dr. Selena Joy to please take over from now. Thank you.
So thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your presence here today. Thank you, Susheela Ravindranath, for releasing this book. And your words of encouragement means a lot to us. And as you rightly said, there's a long way to go with many issues that women are facing around the world. And we at IWFCI India National Chapter look forward to that challenge. As you know, this book is the brainchild of our illustrious and multifaceted president, Dr. Daphne Pillay, and has an immense contribution from the IWFCI India chapter board members, Dr. Rama Ramachandran and Ms. Yvette Lee. Touted as a black swan event in history, the COVID-19 pandemic has been unprecedented, both in terms of its invasion as well as its impact. Heads of states were forced to look at their own national resources to mitigate the threats and spread of the virus. Almost all businesses readily adopted and adapted to the digital world and migrated to technology to conduct operations. For this publication, we invited illustrious leaders, entrepreneurs, educators, and experts from various sectors to share some of their business strategies for rehabilitation and recovery in the post-COVID era. Our goal for NEOVISION was really to build, to open up debates and discussions on the setbacks, breakthroughs, and opportunities posed by the new normal. So this book actually has 17 articles and begins with a message from our international chair, Dina Abruzzi, as Susheela has rightly said, who tells us to trust our gut instinct while embracing technology and change. And the book covers, as Dr. Daphne Pillay earlier mentioned, the book covers wide and varied topics, and we have tried to maintain the flow and thread of thought by dividing it into 5 sections. In the first section, which is Response of Global Women Federations to the Pandemic, we have 3 leaders of IWFCI, Dr. Daphne Pillay from India, Dr. Sophie Kang from South Korea, and Ms. Anne Phua from Singapore, talk about using this lockdown to do constructive activities to keep the momentum going for women entrepreneurs. There's no stopping women at all. In the next section, Sectors Leading the Way in the New Normal, we have 3 eminent personalities from the sciences. We have Dr. Pat Naidu, Dr. Bala Bharadwaj, and Deepak Hegde. They are from the medical sector, the pharmaceutical sector, and the aviation sector, which were at that point of time leading, and even today continues to lead the new normal. And they share their various strategies that they did, what work they did, what the frontline workers were doing, the health industry was facing, and all that in the wonderful article you'll get to read. In the third section, Entrepreneurship and Building Resilience in Business, we have articles by successful entrepreneurs. While Dato Anusha Shanti Rastipam from Malaysia talks about the power of pivoting for businesses, Jennifer Buchanan from Canada, she speaks in her article about finding the bliss point in business, an intersection of values, of your own values and your business values. This section has also articles by 2 illustrious young entrepreneurs, Dr. Minerva Pillay from USA, who speaks about the impact of COVID-19 on the exoskeleton industry. This industry, the revenues from this industry really depends on in-person interaction for physically demonstrating the technology to customers, and what are the things that they did to really mitigate this challenge. And another successful entrepreneur, Mr. Akash Bhatia from USA, who's in the business of artificial intelligence and deep learning, talks about how his company was able to grow from strength to strength during this crisis due to the heavy reliance on artificial intelligence by almost every industry, whether it is medicine or pharma. In the fourth section, which is work from home, just to make the book a little more lighter and also look at other aspects other than the business. So we have a section on work from home and its impact on relationships, where we have articles on the forced work from home culture that became imminent once the pandemic struck. We have a beautiful, wonderful article from Munawara Kotiad, who talks about the gendered effects of the COVID lockdown on working professionals. And she talks about this really being a wake-up call to action to bring about gender parity. Dr. Ramachandran, also one of our board members, in her articles talks about the positive benefits of work from home with respect to extended quality family time that children got to spend with their parents and vice versa. The last article in this section is by Yvette Lee, also a director, who talks about the impact of the coronavirus pandemic and the lockdown on intimate relationships, social relationships, and mental health. The last and final section has 4 articles in the realm of digital literacy and education, one of the sectors that was deeply affected by the crisis. As Susheela has rightly mentioned, it's the way forward. And we have some wonderful articles here as well. Ms. Nirupama Venkatraman from USA in her article speaks about the need for digital literacy and really believes that the biggest challenges of our current education can be shaped into one of our biggest assets. Dr. Rene Francis, another illustrious educator in her article, talks about how this crisis has accelerated the adoption of technologies to deliver education and focuses on the issues of unlearning, learning, and relearning for educators. Dr. Carolyn, who's on our advisory board, talks about the methods of teaching social entrepreneurship for students in the healthcare profession. And the last article by Meera Ranjit, who in a research paper talks about the lockdown and the psychological impact on students in Mumbai during the COVID-19 pandemic. So I hope that so these are the 17 articles, a compilation of all of them that we have put together. In conclusion, I would like to thank Dr. Daphne Pillay for giving me the much needed nudge, or rather I should say push, to don the role of editor, and I thank her for this opportunity. I'm grateful and indebted to all the authors for their contribution to this publication. I thank Mr. Amol Ubale and Arhat Publications for their timely support, and I thank the advisory board for their guidance. I'd also like to acknowledge my son's contribution for creating the cover page for this publication. We all at IWFCI India National Chapter hope that you'll find the book a rich repository of information and knowledge and enjoy reading it as much as we've enjoyed putting the publication together. This is the first for IWFCI India National Chapter, and we really look forward to your feedback and reviews. Thank you so much. Over to you, Yvette.
Thank you so much, Dr. Selena Joy, for giving us such detailed information about NEOVISION. I would now like to call upon Dr. Ramachandran, Director Services IWFCI India, to propose the vote of thanks. Dr. Ramachandran is currently engaged as a business development consultant after an illustrious banking career of 2 decades with ANZ Greenlace and Standard Chartered Bank across different verticals like international training, credit cards, retail, and wealth management. She is the National Program Action Chairperson of the National Association of Seroptimist International of India, NASI. And also recently she has been appointed as the director on the board of Sigmead Trading Limited, London. Seroptimist International is a 100-year-old organization with a consultative status in the United Nations. She was the past national president of Indian Association of Secretaries and Administrative Professionals, a 40-year-old organization with 6 chapters across India. Over to you, Dr. Ramachandran.
Good morning to our chief guest, Susheela Ravindranath, our international president, IWFCI, Diana Abruzzi, ladies on the dais, and members of the audience who have logged in from many parts of the globe. It is my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this milestone occasion of IWFCI India. I, on behalf of IWFCI India and the entire board, extend our heartfelt thanks to all the authors who have contributed articles in this publication, NEOVISION. Thank you for sharing with us your findings and opinions, which are most valuable. Thanks to our president, Dr. Daphne Pillay, and our editor, Dr. Selena Joy, who conceptualized the idea of this publication. This has been a work of passion that has found its way to being published thanks to the amazing support of our speakers from across the globe who participated in our virtual chats over the last 1 year and have contributed articles in this publication. As has already been stated by our president, Dr. Daphne Pillay, the Kindle version of this publication, NEOVISION, would be available on Amazon in the next few days. Thanks once again to our chief guest, Susheela Ravindranath, who is a well-known journalist and the author of the book Surge. Thank you for your encouraging words, Susheela. Thanks to the immense support of Francis Joseph for his technical support and to Rene Francis for putting together the short video. Thanks to our NC, Yvette Lee, who has been your anchor for this morning. Last but not the least, to all our audience who have been participating in this book launch. Thank you.
Thank you.